Welcome, everyone, to the Plug In and Power Up Show. I am so grateful to be here with you. Oh, I'm holding some big energy today, big energy. The Pearl activation starts today, and I've got all this like high vibe frequencies passing through my body, passing through my consciousness. I've been holding it together, holding it strong. So I hope that you all are attending and joining us today. We kick off at 12 Eastern Standard, and we go for 5 days this week. And this morning, I wanted to share this with you how sitting on a rock totally changed the trajectory of my life. It changed my life completely. And it pertains to intuition. And so, for those of you that are just getting to know me, my name is Tara Antler, and I am an intuitive healer, a soul coach, and spiritual teacher. And I've been working with clients for coming up to 23 years. And one of the things that I love to do most is to help people clear out what I call the ick and the stick. You know, that stuff that doesn't serve us. We got to clean that out. We got to alchemize that first, then be able to connect to the higher self, that higher expanded version of who and what we are. And then we get to access some really beautiful energies, bring it in, bring it down, ground it, embody it, become it. And then we get to create our heaven on earth experience. And this has been the biggest thing that Gabriel and I have been talking to our clients about a lot lately, is creating your heaven on earth experience. And I was really contemplating my own journey. What are the significant things, pieces of time in my life that really shaped who I've become today to create heaven on earth? Because I believe that even though I know heaven on earth can keep getting better and better and better and better, and it is. However, I really feel like I'm living this heaven on earth experience. We have these three beautiful children. We homeschool. We have a beautiful property in Northern Ontario. We overlook right now, if I look into the big bay window of this office, I'm looking at the Ottawa River, the Laurentian Mountains. We live in Mexico 6 months. We live in Canada 6 months. We're getting ready to buy something in Mexico. Like, we have this flourishing business. We get to serve clients all around the world. And I think about this often, especially when I've been leading other people in creating their heaven on earth experiences. And sometimes our dreams seem far, or they seem out of reach, or they feel like I've touched and tasted some of them, but I want more and I don't know how. And we've been interviewing a lot of our clients lately. And as I've been listening to their stories, it brought me back to one significant story that I want to share with you today. Sitting on a rock changed my entire life. For real. For real. So we got to rewind the tape back to 1992. Okay, I know I'm dating myself. Some of you know my biological sequence on the planet. Back to 1992. This is well before anyone mainstream was talking about meditation or spiritual practices or yoga for that matter, all the way back to 1992, where spirituality wasn't a normal talked about thing. New Age definitely wasn't. The hippies talked about crystals. At that point, I had already purchased my first set of crystals, which I still have over there from the Rockhound Jamboree in Bancroft, Ontario. I would save my allowance to go buy, instead of Barbies, I would buy crystals. And so I was already tapped into that frequency at age like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Fast forward to grade 9. We're what, 14 or 15 at that point? And I was in an English class, and this teacher said to all of us, "What would you like to study? I want you to pick a subject that you're really interested in, that speaks to you, because if I give you a subject that you're not aligned with or that doesn't speak to you, you're not going to want to do the work. There's no interest in it. You have no connection point." And I thought that was really smart, because we pay attention to the things that we're interested in, right? Like, if I sat here and started talking about, I don't know, apple trees and all that I know about apple trees, you may or may not listen to me, right? Because if you're like, I don't really give a shit about apple trees, you're not going to listen, right? And it was the same sort of thing in English class. So he said, pick a subject that you love. Now, at this point, I was already secretly into crystals and spiritual things and fairies, and I already had an open intuition. But during the months prior, he was talking about meditation retreats that he would go on in California. My eyes lit up. He talked about being in a meditation circle where a guy beside him levitated off the ground, and the teacher just came along with 2 fingers and went like this and put the guy back down to the ground. My eyes lit up. Other people probably thought he was nuts or crazy. They're like, no, yeah, no, Mr. Taylor, he might be like drinking a little too much today or something, right? But for me, I leaned in. I was like, this is my jam. This lights something up inside of me. This lights up to my core, to my soul. I felt all lights inside turning on. You ever have one of those moments where somebody says something, or there's a topic and you're like, bing, 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 like everything starts to light up in you? That was me, grade 9. And so when he asked and he said, what are you interested in? And I went to him and I said, I'm really interested in meditation and yoga. He said, whew, he goes, I love that you're interested in that. He said, but you're not going to go to the library and find books on meditation and yoga. He said, give me a couple days to gather up some material for you, and I'll get you something. So everybody else went off to the library. Maybe some learned about cars and trucks and building and makeup and hairdos and all the other things that people were interested in at that time. For me, I waited a couple days and he came back and he gave me, and I still have the books to this day on that shelf over there. He gave me a book on meditation, one on yoga, one on Qigong and energy work, and one on reflexology. He said, I don't know if this aligns with you, but I'm going to give it to you anyways because it kind of applies to meditation. I grabbed those books. I was so grateful. I said, I'll bring them back to you. He ended up gifting them to me, which I'm so grateful for because it really set in motion everything of who I am today. Not everything, but a huge part of who I am today in the work that I do. And I devoured these books and I created a project. Now, it was one thing to write about. And I think back then, I'm trying to think if we had computers. I know we had typewriter class. Grade 9, 10, we had typewriter class. But I don't think we had computers as yet, not the way that we know computers today. My dad might have had a computer, but I remember, I think I had to handwrite this. So it was one thing to read, okay? It's one thing to read about something, a body of knowledge, a body of wisdom. People are using AI these days to learn about certain bodies of wisdom and knowledge, which I have another topic that I'm going to talk about in terms of AI and chat, which I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that in the coming days or weeks. I have to like park that conversation because it's a big one. And so it's one thing to learn and to read and to ingest information that way. I knew deep inside I needed to embody it without even knowing what embodiment meant. I knew that I needed to practice this. I knew that I needed to not only logically read and know about meditation and yoga and reflexology and energy work and Qigong, I needed to practice this. I wanted to sit down, especially after I read some of the stories that people had around meditation and levitation and teleportation and people dematerializing and rematerializing in other places. I was like fully leaned in. So here's where the rock changed my life. In Northern Ontario, there's a lot of big rocks here that are exposed, huge, huge rocks. If you've ever driven through Northern Ontario, Canada, big, huge rocks. And where I grew up, it's a town of, we don't even call it a town, it's a hamlet of 50 people. There might have been 70 at the time when I grew up, but there's about 50 now. And where I grew up, at this lodge, there's this trail that goes up into the forest, and it leads up and up and up onto this huge rock that we called it the Rock. Okay, we called it the Rock. Somebody even spray painted the rock on it. And it used to be our swimming hole where we would go and we'd jump off the high cliffs into the Ottawa River, and it was a lot of fun. But it was the only place that was quiet. It was the only place that I could go where I knew I wouldn't be disturbed by either other people in the campgrounds or my siblings. And so I sat on this rock. And again, I don't know how many feet up the height of this rock is. I'm going to guess like maybe 50 feet, 60 feet up. And I sat on the very top. And at the time, there's this huge old pine tree. You know, the old growth pines that are just massive, massive trunk, massive height. She's gone now. A storm blew her down. But it was there at the time. And I sat under this tree and I sat on the rock and I dropped in. I took everything that I read, everything that I knew, everything that I had absorbed through these books, and I had to drop in. And I felt this moment of everything. You know when you feel this moment of like everything moving in and then it goes, like when somebody says it lands, I had the full body experience of it lands before it was landing was cool, okay? And cool conversation, trending conversation. It landed. And I felt it deep, deep, deep in my body. And I felt this stillness and I felt this peace. I felt my root chakra anchoring into the rock itself as if there was a magnet pulling my bum and a magnet from the rock connecting, right? Like magnetics pulling to each other. I landed. I was like, whoa, that feeling alone was so powerful. And then I breathed and I dropped in and I kept breathing. And I just breathed and I dropped in. And all the thoughts were there. The chatter was there. You know, what if my brother or sister come? What if a camper, you know, somebody who's staying in the lodge walks by and thinks I'm crazy? Like, what are you doing? If it was today, no one would think anything if they saw somebody meditating. But again, you got to think back to 1992, okay? Somebody walking by and be like, woo, like what happened, okay? So I dropped in and I just kept breathing and I just kept breathing and I just kept breathing. And as I was breathing, something happened. I felt so deeply connected with the entire space around me that there was no differentiation between me and the rock I was sitting on, me and the tree that was right above me and beside me. Me and the loons and the other birds and the otters that were there and the chippies and the squirrels. I felt my field expand to the point where it felt odd. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that before, but it's the most bizarre thing where you feel so expanded, you're so connected to everything that there's this feeling of exhilaration in the expansion, but there's almost like a fear at the same time where you're like, this feels so weird. It feels so odd. It feels so bizarre, so expansive and so bizarre. That was the feeling. And as I dropped into that, I must have been sitting there at least half an hour. It was the first time I had ever meditated, like tangibly, practically meditated. I had read about it, I had learned about it. It was the first time I ever dropped in. And then I felt these hands on my back. So as I was there, I just kept asking. I was talking to what I now call my higher self. I didn't know that back then. I don't even know what I would have referred to it back then as. Maybe creator. I didn't use the word God so much back then. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly can't remember what I would have referred to it as, but I felt this presence. I felt this bigger presence. And I just kept leaning into it and tuning into it and feeling it. And all of a sudden, I felt these energetic hands on my back push me forward, almost to the point where I almost fell over. Now I'm seated. These energetic hands on my back, it snapped me out of my meditation to the point where I had to turn around and look because I thought my brother and sister were playing a trick on me and they were here and pushing me forward. There was no one there. There was no one there. So after I got over the fear, I sat back in and I started this line of curiosity. Now this, you got to keep in mind, this is before AI. This is before reading about intuition. This is before taking any intuition classes. This is before I studied channeling and mediumship. This is before I went to holistic college. Okay, this is 1992. I was 15 or 14, something like that. 14. So I'm sitting there and I tune in and I got curious. And I was like, what was that? And immediately, shoo, this answer dropped in. And I heard, we're here. And I'm like, who's we? And they said, we're your guides. And I'm like, what are guides? We are beings that walk with you. Partly connected, like we're connected to you, we're connected to Creator. We're here to guide you, to support you, to train you, to answer any questions that you have. We're connected to your higher self. I was like, what is a higher self? We're here to answer any questions that you have. We will always be here with you until you don't need us anymore. Then maybe, we go on to our next journey, but we're here for you. I was so freaked out that day that it ignited a curiosity within me that I have not ever been able to put down. And I think this is why my journey, my entire life, has always led me, something has always guided me to the most perfect situations, the most perfectly aligned events, the most perfectly aligned people have come into my life, the most perfectly aligned experiences, the schools that I needed to go to, the people that I needed to meet, the classes that I took. I have not been able to put that piece of the curiosity down. And since that time, so from 14 to now 47, it has been my soul's purpose to learn more and deepen and embody my higher self. It keep expanding my intuition. Just because I had an open intuition back then doesn't mean I didn't work on it. I worked on my intuition. I still am working on my intuition because there are layers upon layers. It's like a flower that's never ending. It's the 1,000-petaled lotus. It keeps unfolding. As you open and get curious, the next layer unfolds and gets curious with you and opens and reveals itself to you. This is something that has been a part of my life's journey, my entire life's journey. So when I say that sitting on a rock changed my life, it's an understatement. That is an understatement. It not only changed my life, it set in motion who I was to become, the work that I do in the world, my whole purpose, the guiding force within me, and having this open spiritual expandedness that's been at least 20 to 30 years ahead of where most people are. And not to say that it's ahead because I'm better than, ahead because I'm meant to be a teacher of. Just like my guides were a guide to me, I've been honored to be a guide to many tens and tens of thousands of people. And not because I'm better than, just because this was my area of heaven on earth expertise. And so I give this to you now to consider. And this is everything we're doing in the Pearl Activation this week, you guys. So if this resonates with you, if this lands with you and you have not yet registered for the Pearl Activation, I don't know what y'all are doing. I'll post the link. I'll just type Pearl in the comments below, but this is what we're diving into this week. We are activating your intuition on a whole other level. Even if you're like, I'm already intuitive, I got this. This is coming from someone who's been intuitive, awake and aware, intuitively awake and aware since I was 4. I'm 47. I'm still expanding my intuition. I'm still open and curious. What's the next level? What's the next expression of my intuition? And it keeps revealing higher and higher and higher and more and better and expanded. So we're going to be expanding wherever you are now in your intuition. We're going to be expanding it to your next level, not my next level, not the group's next level, your next level. That's what we're doing today. Intuition, refinement, and expansion activation. Tomorrow, we're going into inner alchemy. So remember at the very beginning, I said, we need to alchemize. If we have fear, if we have hesitation, if we have doubt, if there's been any situation in our life that's closed down on any level, our own trust to ourself, we have to clean house on that. Because you could be getting access to so much. You could be the AI. You could be the chat. I always forget if it's GPT or GTP. You could be the chat, but you're not trusting yourself because you're doubting. That stuff needs to alchemize. So tomorrow, that's what we're going to be doing is alchemizing. And day 3, we're connecting into the higher self. You having an experience on a next level of your higher self. Again, if you're already connected to your higher self, excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. If you are already connected to your higher self, there may be a higher level for you to go. There may be a refinement. There may be a new way for you to have a connectivity. Just like technology is always updating. I just got a brand new phone because my other one of 5 years just wasn't working. It wasn't connecting. So I had to upgrade my phone. AI has been seriously upgraded. That's a huge upgrade for humanity. If we in our humanness are relying 100%, and this is what I'm going to talk about in a couple weeks or maybe next week, on AI as our upgrade, we're missing the mark. I'll just plant that seed. We're missing the mark. If you are not upgrading, you're missing the mark. You've become comfortable. Maybe life's gotten in the way. Maybe you think that you're already open and expanded, which is part of like our ego identity. So then we're attached to our ego identity. I think childlike curiosity is one of the best things we could all embody. If you've already arrived, if you've already arrived, you're already awake, you're already open. There's always expanded, deeper versions for us to go. There's no cap, unless you put a cap on it. If you place a cap on yourself, you're like, I'm already awake, done. Well, then your story's done. That's it. But if you say, I'm going to stay open, what if like AI is the next evolution of technology? What if my inner technology could upgrade? Are you able to levitate yet? I don't know very many people that have. I've levitated off my chair 3 times in my life, but I don't know that many people who've levitated. Can you teleport yet? Like meaning you could literally have your luggage in your hands, skip the airport line and be like, I want to be in whatever. And you're like, and then you reappear. Can you do that yet? What about telekinesis? Can you move objects? Like if I take my lip gloss and it was sitting on my desk and I wanted to pull it toward me, can you do that yet? What about complete psychic conversation? Like you don't even need to use your phone to talk to somebody. You just are sending the message and they're getting it. You know they're getting it. You could use your phone as a cross-reference to be like, oh my God, I just sent you the following message. Like through my intuition, did you get it? And they're like, yeah, this is what I got. Awesome. High five. 100% exactly what I sent. 100% exactly what you received. Can you do that yet? What about auric fields? Can you see everyone and everything's auric field? Can you see things within the auric field and maybe in the human body that might need to heal and clear and then know how to heal and clear it? What about manifestation? Are you manifesting 100% exactly what you want all the time? Many times people don't relate manifestation and creation to intuition, but I can tell you, and this is one thing we're going to be talking about in the workshop, is how your intuition, higher self, and your ability to alchemize is connected 100% to your manifestation and creation abilities. So if you're not manifesting 100% of what you want as yet, there's further to go, and your intuition might play a part in that. Your higher self definitely plays a part in that. So these are just examples that, I've been having these dreams lately, which I believe are a part of my testing out reality, where I go up to a tree and I'm talking to a tree and the tree is responding, going up and down or swaying back and forth. I used to do this 10, 20, 30 years ago. I stopped doing it. And I'm like, why did I stop doing that? So maybe it's a return on things that we used to do that we stopped doing because maybe we're like, well, I did that, check, and now that's done. There is further to go. Your intuitive abilities, there's no cap unless you put a cap. Your manifestation abilities, there's no cap unless you put a cap. Your ability to co-create on this planet powerfully, accurately, there's no cap unless you put a cap. Your connection to your higher self, there's no cap unless you put a cap. So there's always bigger, further, higher to go. There are other sensory experiences that we haven't even tapped into as yet. I'll give you one example. Many of you know this. I don't like the spray, the stuff that they put in the sky. Some people don't believe in it, whatever. I'm not here to debate that. I do not consent to chemtrails and not having spray on us, okay? I do not consent to that. There's like 14 different toxin things in there. It messes with our weather to the point where there was a hurricane or a tornado that ripped apart Mattawa, the small town close to us, and the park. They called it a state of emergency. It's probably not, I don't even know if it's on the news. Anyways, what I've been practicing, what I've been teaching our kids to do is every time you see that, I project my energy up and I imagine turning off the little valves and playing with the computer configuration, like beep, 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 and turn it off. And I've watched it literally go spray, and then there's like a malfunction and it stops, and then it's sprayed, and then there's a malfunction and it stops, and then another one, and eventually it stops. I've tested this out at least 100 times, especially in Canada, not in Mexico because it's illegal to do that in the skies there. But here, I've tested it out. Our ability to move matter is beyond, I think, what most of us can comprehend. Now, this conversation might feel really far out to some people. That's okay. I'm here for the far out. But I will also, as we go far out, I'm also here to help you ground it and embody it. Because that's a part of it, to make that woo conversation real and grounded, tangible. So if you're curious, if you feel like there's a little more to go, or maybe I want to dive into this, or maybe I want to have this conversation, or maybe I want to be in some sort of activation over the next 3 days. And maybe I want to activate my inner pearl, which is very different. We're going to talk about this in the workshop at the beginning in about an hour and a half from now. That this pearl activation is different than human design. I only recently heard about human design, and the pearl activation and the pearl, what I would call it, inner technology, that dropped down 2 years before I got pregnant with Aria. So this would have been about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So it's different. Some people have asked that question. Is this similar to human design? No, it's not. This is something that dropped down for me 11 years ago. I only in the last year and a half started reading about human design and discovered, I was like, oh my God, there's a pearl sequence or something. I'm like, this sounds very similar to what dropped down 11 years ago for me. So energy and knowledge is connected, especially when it's like truthful knowledge and information. So I just wanted to preface that as well, because some people have asked the question. Is it the conscious mind that manifests? My understanding now is that it's our subconscious, our unconscious, God, source, spirit working through us as we get out of our own conscious way. I think it's all of it. When it comes to manifestation, it's all of it. Your conscious mind is creating, your subconscious mind is creating, your unconscious mind is creating, the collective consciousness field is creating, Creator God is creating, because we're Creator God. We're not separate from Creator God. So it's all creating. What we want to do is refine and get better at consciously creating so that we're not sub and unconsciously creating, which is where most of the world is. Most of the world is creating from subconscious, which is our pains, our patterns, the stuff that we've taken in, movies we've watched, things that got embedded in us. So we have to alchemize the subconscious, which is a big part of the work that we do. In Thrive Evolution, that's the biggest thing that we do in every section, every season. We are cleaning out the subconscious so that you get more clear on what you are consciously creating. That's the whole game, is to become more conscious about what you're creating so that you're not haphazardly, unconsciously creating stuff that you don't want. That's what most of the world is doing, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. And I've been saying this for 25 years. We are creating all the time. There is never a time where we are not creating. I know other people are saying it now, but I will say I've been saying this for 25 years. I have a track record about this. I didn't learn this from anybody else. I can honestly tell you with capital T truth, we are creating all the time. There's never a time where you're not creating. So if you want to be creating things that you want, you have to be willing to alchemize and heal and transform the subconscious and the unconscious and maybe even the collective consciousness so that you're super refined and clear on what you are creating. So it's a combination. Yeah. So good. I used to lie in bed when I was a kid and try to teleport myself. I used to do the same thing. I still do the same thing. I believe we know. Many people have dreams of flying. I believe that's a part of our gifts. It's just all those faculties have been dialed down and turned off. So what we're going to be doing in these 3 days is turning the lights back on in a way that's good for you. Everybody's going to have a different experience. Even though everyone's going to walk through the experience, you're all going to have your own individual experience based on where you are. Your higher self knows exactly what you need. So it's going to turn the lights on in the way that you need it. Not the way I need it, not the way Gabriel needs it, the way that you need it. And that's what I'm really excited about this workshop. It's about you. Really, at the end of the day, it's about you. Your activation, your next level, your expansion of your intuition, your higher self, and then ultimately what you are manifesting and creating. This is what we're doing. When I was a kid, I used to practice stopping the wind. I still do that, Kat. On the days it was very windy and I willed it to stop and it worked every time, I still do that. The moment I drop in and I start focusing on the wind, because I'm also an air sign, I feel so connected to the wind. It starts to go around me. And the other day we had crazy lightning and I went out and people say don't go outside when it's lightning like that. But I went and talked to Gaia, to Mama Earth, and I said, it's okay, Mama, be still, it's okay. And everything started to calm down. The winds calmed down. I've done this so many times in a storm where the winds calm down. Many of you know when there were fires, which is part of the ongoing conversation, you can create rain. We created rain. We did a meditation and collectively we created rain where we needed it. You guys, we have so much available to us. We forget. We get caught up in life. I said this to Gabriel. I'm like, and this is where I'll complete on this conversation. I said to Gabriel the other day, do you think that people just aren't aware? And he said, I just don't think people have time. I think that people are so busy and wrapped up in their lives and what they're up to in the day-to-day. They're so occupied that this is like a last resort conversation where it should actually be one of the first conversations that we have in order to free ourselves from the rest of the craziness, right? So if you're feeling aligned, if they're feeling that soul pull, that soul call, type the word Pearl in the comments. I'll get you signed up. This is going to be an incredible activation, one that only I've ever done for myself and that I've done with my kids. And so I'm really grateful to share this with you all in the next 3 days. This is a brand new energy activation that we're doing this week for 3 days. And then we have some bonus content on Thursday, Friday. So if you haven't yet registered, Pearl is the word to drop, and I'll make sure that you get the link. We go live in an hour and a half. Can't wait to see you all there. If you love this content or you think that there's someone in your world that would really love this, please feel free to share. Share the video. If you get the link, share the link. We would love to amplify and activate as many as possible because we're at a time on the planet now where we need to be activating our light bigger, 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 activating our gifts more and more and more and more so that we can consciously create heaven on earth now, not in 10 years or not in the next millennium or not in the next lifetime, now. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you all in about an hour and a half. Mwah! Bye.